All right. Welcome to Grue, and thanks so much for taking time out of your day
Thank
and
you.
doing.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you. It means a lot to us. Thank you so much.
Definitely, yes, definitely. Like the first thing I wanted to start out asking you all is, what is the name of the show, and what is the show about?
Sarah, you want to take a crack?
Oh. Well, our name is Oni, Thunder God's Tale. It's told in 4 chapters, so about 150 minutes total. And Oni really explores this incredible theme of who you really are. So we follow the journey of our young heroine, Onari, on her path to learn who she is as an individual. And then with that, Dice, if you want to talk a little bit more about, maybe the inspiration and the thought behind Oni itself.
Please.
Yeah, the story is inspired by the Japanese folklore world and the characters that I grew up with. But the story itself is very original, very current, the singular idea of like Oni is the word Oni is it's a villain character. It's almost like a devil in Japanese folklore. Every Japanese folklore stories always have this Oni as a bad guys, right? And but what's really interesting is there's a historical theory that I read a little while ago that Oni might have been the description of people who look different from Japanese locals, like foreigners who lived in Japan back in the days, or indigenous people who look different from regular local Japanese people. And they were because they're scared because they look different. And then they turned them into villains in their stories. I thought it was so interesting because it is very much the human nature we carry today, that we are afraid of people who you don't understand, or cultures you don't know, or the appearance that you may not be familiar with. I really felt like the story had to be told to not just Japanese people, but people around the world, that because this is a very current subject that we should have a conversation about.
Oh wow, that's really interesting, because I was reading about what the show was, and it basically said, like, battling spirits, Japanese spirits, and what you said has like a really deep meaning to it.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think once we watch it, it's definitely not the typical like battling the evil kind of a story. It starts off that way, but it quickly becomes a very different story.
Oh wow, okay. And who did you wind up getting to voice her, like the actress?
Sarah, you want to?
Oh, we were so fortunate to have an all-star cast for Oni. Finding someone to play Onari, I would say maybe the most challenging for us, but we were very fortunate to get Momona Tamada, who you may know from the Babysitters Club, to join Oni. And I think this has been announced, but she's now working on the Avatar new series. And so she just brought so much depth to Onari. She's Japanese Canadian. She started Oni, I think, when she was 14, and it just blew us out of the water with her talent. So that was a great discovery for us. And then, some other highlights, of course, George Takei, big Star Trek fan. My mom was so happy when she learned that we cast George. So he plays a very interesting character, Mr. Tengu, who is our children's sensei. He's the teacher of the village. Very quirky, but very lovable at the same time. So it was a huge honor to work with George. And then we also cast Craig Robinson, who you know from The Office and so many wonderful films. Craig had a very interesting role to play. Dice, you want to talk a little bit about his.
Yeah, we cast him for one of the main characters, Naridon, who's the father of Onari. And but the interesting thing is that the Naridon doesn't necessarily talk. He has his own sort of gibberish language that no one quite understands except for Onari. Onari understands what Naridon says somehow, miraculously. They communicate, father and daughter, but then all he says is nah. So, Craig Robinson just really blew us out, like with, blew our minds with, just acting of just the word nah. He was able to hit happy, quirky, sad, emotionally, like just struggling, like everything he was able to capture with just nah, and it was just so incredible how much he was able to convey emotion of this main character. And our animators just followed Craig's voice acting to capture this incredible range of performance only through one word, nah.
Wow, that's really amazing.
And you're in for a special treat because we also have another cast member who's on this call today, Robert, who does the voice of Nama and Hage. Robert, do you want to talk a little bit about what it was like to voice
Well,
Robert?
When you watch this series, Nama and Hage are a bit the kid bullies. And I feel like it was Dice's way of bullying me into, my daughter who's going to watch the show is going to be like, Dad, you're the bully, and I have a lifetime to correct that, I guess.
Oh, no.
And Robert was so natural, and we're so impressed. It's so good. You are so amazing.
Oh, thank you. I think, yeah.
Wow, okay. And I know the show isn't out yet, but was there any scenes from the series that stood out to you the most, like something you liked the most?
Maybe Robert, you have any?
Yeah, I mean, the story itself is about this girl who is the daughter of, living on this mountain of gods, of Japanese gods and spirits. And in this story, the relationship of her and her father is incredibly relatable to me. They're like Dice said, the father only has these phonetic sort of nahs to communicate, and so he's sort of disconnected from everyone. But at the core of his existence in this town is his relationship with his daughter. And I think that any of the scenes that you see where the two of them are sort of playing and getting to be really finding their relationship through play is sort of, to me, the scenes that resonate with me the most as me, myself, as a father. And I do think that this girl who has this big aspiration to be this big hero is incredibly relatable. And so I do feel like this relationship and this girl's sort of dream to be this hero tend to dominate the screen for me. Yeah, stick in my mind.
Nice. And I know you all are pressed on time, so I'm gonna ask like one last question. And since the show deals a lot with like spirits and something like horror-ish, what are you all doing for Halloween? Like, are you dressing up? Are you going to parties?
That's a good question. I can start. I have a 10-year-old son, and I'm really encouraging him to dress one of his favorite characters from the show. He only watched the half, and then he's going to watch the whole thing this weekend because we have the screening in LA. But it'll be a testament, whether he wants to, become one of the characters or not, But yeah, that is. I'm not sure what I'm gonna wear, but definitely like a more paying attention to my kid, what does he want to be, so we'll see. How about you guys, Robert or Sarah?
Sarah?
Oh man, I would love to be a character from Oni. It's so hard to choose. I think I might go for Kappa. Kappa I don't know if you are familiar with him, but he's our green. How would you describe him? Green. Some people think he's a duck. Some
Underwater
people think he's a
character.
frog. But very, you know, based on a traditional Japanese folklore character. Then he has a little duck on his head. So I feel like as long as I can just find a rubber duck to put on my head, then people will know it's got one.
Yeah, I guess I'll keep it quick. But my daughter is 6 years old, turning 7, and I really she has a little ponytail like our main character, but this Halloween she is insisting on being Claudia Kishi, who is the character that Momona Tamada plays on Babysitter's Club.
Okay.
I really tried to entice her to be Onari, and I told her, you know, that's also Momona, but she just loves this creative character that Momona has played in the Babysitter's Club, and so that's what she's going to be this year, is Claudia Kishi. I don't know how recognizable it'll be, but she'll
That's like
be
a
definitely
deep
happy.
cut. You know, that's like a real Oni fan right there. I like that.
And Robert, you could be Onari so that at least you can, you know.
Yes, I'm gonna wear just a loincloth and paint myself red. Great.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out and doing this. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the show. And happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Thank you so much,
Halloween.
Marco.
Thanks, Rocco.
Appreciate it.